Hi, my name is Nunziata, and I'm a New York City-based director and creator of theater, television, and film, and I'm also a proud FENIX Global Artist Ambassador. Today, I am so excited to be speaking with the acclaimed singer-songwriter, Eva B Ross. For more on Eva, you can read more about her right below this video, but in the meantime, here is a sneak peek at the amazing talent of Eva.
Been listening to your playlist just to see if one day you might add a tune that reminds you of me. I'll admit I get happy when I see that you've been listening to the Zombies, wearing your t-shirt, 'cause it smells like your bed. And I could text you, but I'd rather let it play out in my head. Keep it so subliminal. Ooh, sometimes so shocking, not at all. Ooh, we keep it so subliminal.
Well, hello, Eva. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Well, the audience just got a little sneak peek of your incredible talent with your original song, Subliminal. You're amazing. I want to know where you grew up and when you knew you had this gift to not only sing, but your need and want to create.
Wow. Well, first, thank you. I grew up in LA actually. I'm born and raised I grew up in the Valley, and I grew up in a family of performers, so there wasn't really ever a moment where that wasn't just what was going on. So I when I was 11, we started a family band, and that's when I started really writing songs for the band.
Wait, time out. You're giving
Yeah,
me like Disney vibes. I want
it's
like to now create like a Disney movie about your family. Like, wait, so you're 11. What was the family band called?
it was called Big Papa and the Sisters.
I'm
Yeah,
in.
it's a lot to take in, and
No,
I'm
I'm
surprised
in.
you hadn't heard of us. We were just kidding.
Were you? Oh my God, can you imagine? Like, I've done all my research on you, and you're like, well, we were like a #1 charting band in the early
We were
2000s.
touring the world. We were touring. No, we had an album called Garage Girls. I'm sure that will surface in time. It was really really fun. I learned so much from that. It's like my dad's was, you know, a classic rock guy, and both my sisters are amazing singers and writers. And yeah, and I was the youngest, and it was just a perfect, like, education.
That's amazing that you got that support from such an early age, but it was also your normal. I mean, this is what was in your bone marrow. You didn't have a chance, but let alone here you are flourishing on your own now. Your family must be so proud of you.
Oh, they're the best. They're the most supportive people in the world, and my whole family's artists, so they completely understand how complicated and nonlinear this lifestyle is,
Oh,
and
forget
it's
it.
amazing to have that.
I was researching you and you put out a good amount throughout the past year. So obviously you've been creatively inspired in some way. And I'm curious, in such a time when not only as humans, but as artists, we were forced to look within at really what our bliss is and our purpose. And I'm curious within that investigation for you this past year in the work that you've put out there, what that was like for you.
Yeah. Well, in the past year, nothing that came out was something that wasn't already in the pipeline before this year. And even though maybe things were coming out, it was a real year of stillness, because just before the world closed, I had been on tour, and I was touring my first EP, which is called Playlist for the Apocalypse. And it was my first introduction to things, and I was on the East Coast and touring, and then everything, I was supposed to be in the UK and Ireland, and everything shut down. And I actually kind of embraced that stillness, not really because, for any heroic reason, just really because you have to, you are forced to do that for a moment. And then it felt, especially with all the events that had happened over the summer, felt like the wrong time to share anything for someone like me. But instead, I just pivoted to writing and recording. And so this year I wrote and recorded my first album, which was just like the best distraction. And yeah, just the best.
Talk a little bit about your album.
Um, I've made it mostly with just one person, where it's just the two of us in a room, and we're playing. This guy Dylan Casey, dear friend of mine who lives in Los Angeles, also amazing guitarist and pedal steel player. And yeah, I've never made a project this way where it's just two people in a room. He collects vintage gear, and the two of us play everything on it, and it is it's been really rewarding to be able to.
I love that. You know, in a time when we've all had to investigate the superfluous, you literally did that on this album. You literally are going back to basics. But I think it's the real artist. I mean, I vibe with that because that's with all like the smoke and mirrors out. It's just like you get to see the bones of your craft and talent with no frills.
Yeah, it's really fun, because at the end of it, there's still stuff that's being finished for it. Obviously, it's one of those things where I'm sure like you just kind of keep writing, and then you're like, okay, where does this start and when does this end? And should I just start putting out things, or should I, when is it the next album? But at the end of it, I just listened to it and I'm like, wow, this does sound like me, because it was just us, it wasn't a lot of people, and I love collaboration and I love other ideas, but it was fun to just be like, wow, okay, yeah, that does sound like me. I guess when you just sit in a room and do it, it then sort of sounds like you.
That's amazing. Now, Eva, with the world starting to slowly but surely open up, do you have any plans to tour?
I do. I mean, I think that it'll happen at the end, starting in summer 2022. And it's weird to think that far in advance.
I know.
But a year like this kind of teaches you how to be patient, and maybe I always was like, go, 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 go. And all of a sudden I was like, whoa, okay, time doesn't really exist.
That's right. That's
you
right.
know, a year gets swallowed. But this year we'll be finishing and putting out that first album.
That's amazing. So you've already accomplished so much, Eva, and I'm just curious, looking ahead as the world starts to open up, are there dreams of yours that you have on that bucket list?
It's nice of you to say I've accomplished so much. I feel like every artist is like,
oh please,
every time I get to check off something that I've always wanted to do, I need to remind myself, because usually I'm like, it's been nothing, it's never, and then you're like, oh wait, I made a song with somebody I really always wanted to work with, or I did this one thing that so thank you. But it's always a process, and there are definitely things that I'd like to accomplish. I mean, my first album is really important to me. Going on another tour, going on an international tour, these are all things that matter a lot to me. But should I wait for this plane to pass? Do you hear it?
Oh my God, keep going. I love it. I love it. You just did an album with two people. Like, let's lean into the vulnerability of the plane passing and just say that it's part of the vibe.
Passing, interference. Yeah, and I mean, honestly, I think the biggest thing that's buoyed me throughout this past year is just little interactions with people who actually listen to the music and who let it play any part in their life. And it doesn't really need to be so many of those, because one is so valuable and powerful,
That's right. I mean, look at Eva, you're making me think about, FENIX, this new social media platform that's not only going to connect artists with fans in a new, exciting way, but also artists with other artists, in the East especially. And, as a director, I've already begun to work with people in the East through my affiliation with FENIX. And I can only imagine you, that has this timely, timeless, but also transcendent talent, to work with the potential to collaborate with others in other countries for you as an artist. What does that mean?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's so fun. That's one of that was one of my biggest personal, professional moments of reckoning, when I didn't get to go to the UK and Ireland because there were so many people over there that I really wanted to work with, and I just like love collaborating with and being inspired by new people. I remember 2 years ago I was in Accra in Ghana, and I was playing music there, and so inspired, and it changed so many things about how I write, and I love meeting new people. And I mean, that's the fun of it. Even during quarantine, I didn't go on a plane for it was the longest I hadn't been on a plane, and I took a lot of road trips up the West Coast, and I was in Idaho and Oregon, and just kind of like backpacking or in the backcountry, and you pull out a guitar and everyone's speaking the same language, and it's like my absolute favorite thing. I've always thought, no matter how much I might get disillusioned with music industry or things like that, music is so valuable, and you can't ever deny that. I think we were all in quarantine as musicians thinking, does what I do matter, with all these things going on, with people facing so much, and with so many systematic structural things in the world that need advocacy and need change. Are my 4 chords and the truth really what we all need right now? And then you go around, and you're like, well,
I
yeah.
can answer that and say yes, because you have such a singular, unique, provocative, original, authentic voice. And at the end of the day, you're a storyteller, and you're a great storyteller. And again, I can't imagine how proud your family must be, but also I'm so grateful to have met you through our mutual friend Tucker, and I'm so grateful for your time today. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. Such a treat.
Digital age, artists and bands struggle to make a living. In fact, only a small number of artists can live off their craft. For the 98% of artists that don't have the luxury of being signed to a label, it's tough. But artists deserve to live off their art. Wherever you are around the world, appreciation of music does not change. FENIX brings bands and their fans together, whilst allowing bands to properly monetize their passion. The FENIX app will directly connect bands and fans with no need for middlemen. We're utilizing the blockchain to give the power back to the artist once and for all. Join FENIX, join the change.